617 here. Welcome back in. Morning JOX here on your Friday morning. Conrad and Damian here with you, taking you into the weekend, talking a little bit of transfer portal news here in the world of basketball, particularly with the Auburn Tigers, as if you missed the news, Chad Baker-Mazara, he goes into the portal yesterday. Auburn brings out Kevin Overton from Texas Tech, so a little bit of a guard swap there. And we do have, as I mentioned, some big news in the transfer portal outside of Alabama and Auburn. How about, first off, though, blast from the past back here in the SEC. Sam Walters, former member of the Alabama Crimson Tide, transferred to Michigan this year, now going back to Mississippi State.
There we go. It just means more.
It just means more. So Chris Jans picking up a big man there, and Sam Walters, who I always thought he had a lot of potential at Alabama, just with his frame, his ability to shoot the three-point ball. He was just a young kid, and hopefully now going back to Mississippi State, he'll have a little bit more of an opportunity. But he, I thought he always had some nice potential there when he was in Tuscaloosa. But the big ones coming from old Memphis. What's going on, Penny? What's going on? So the two stars for Memphis last year, you have PJ Haggerty and Dane Danger, both of which have entered the transfer portal. Now, I know the situation with Danger is a little different in the sense that he's a guy who doesn't really have any eligibility left, but he's filing a waiver, so he will probably get it because everyone gets it, I feel like, at this point. But he's one of those guys that technically should be, going professional in something else at this point, I would say, but he is in the transfer portal, and if he gets a waiver for an extra year, he is going to be in very high demand. He averaged 14.5 points, 7.5 rebounds a game last year for the Memphis Tigers. But PJ Haggerty is the real star. He's the best player in the portal right now for my money. He was a second-team All-American last year, averaged over 20 points a game. I mean, this is a lights-out scorer, and this is the kind of guy that, I mean, if he has a Alabama, Auburn, Duke, Kansas, Kentucky, Florida, like name your school. Like, he is one of those guys. He can go wherever he wants, essentially, depending on what the price tag is. And I'm imagining that price tag is going to be in the $3 to $4 million range. Like, this is
a dude.
He's a dude.
Yeah, he's a dude.
He's a dude. And, so I saw, obviously some people going, well, maybe Auburn's trying to save some of that CBM money and go after a guy like PJ Haggerty. And maybe so. I think Auburn or Alabama would be thrilled to bring in a guy with his skill set. So that one's going to be a very interesting to watch again, because he is a very, very talented player. And if you're a UAB fan, especially, you saw him play a couple times this year, and he is definitely a special talent. I forgot this at the top. Auburn also did have JP Pegues enter the portal yesterday as well, but that was,
yeah, it kind of expected that.
That one just never worked out.
It didn't. It didn't. And when you came in from James Madison, you thought that, okay, if Tahad Pettifer hadn't showed up, you would have seen a lot of
correct.
you'd have seen a lot of JP Pegues. And I think that it was one of those, okay, you get into camp, you start to see, and that playing time starts to dwindle. The expectations you could feel start to be lowered, and it just didn't work. And you see situations like that where, again, this is kind of what happens in the transfer portal. The grass isn't always greener everywhere that you go. Sometimes you have to he probably could have stayed at James Madison and would have put up numbers, but in a situation where you feel like, okay, I could probably step up and start to elevate my game, then you have no tape at this point. So you're kind of based on what you've done in the past, and you have to work even harder to get and maintain a starting spot. Potentially that's what he's looking for, I would assume. But yeah, it's just, for as much success as Auburn has had, you knew this is a situation like this was going to happen.
Yeah, it's just a reality of a situation similar, to some of the guys that you had at Alabama, right? Like a Nas Cunningham. And I know it's a little different because he was younger, but it's a guy you had expected to play a role, and the cards just didn't work out that way. Similar with Houston Millett, right? That was a guy that's supposed to come over and contribute. He ends up being a little banged up, and it's, well, let's redshirt you because, let's be honest, we've got enough guys here. We got enough talent here, and sometimes it gets a little crowded. But again, that's the nature of, recruiting well and having. It's a good problem to have, right? Like it's certainly not something that anybody's going to be too upset about. So that's everything there on the basketball front for the most part. I know as far as Alabama rumblings on that front. I know Coward from Washington State, that still seems to be the name that everyone's waiting for. The guard that averages 17 points a game. So not as much movement on the Alabama front, but a busy day for Auburn yesterday in the portal. So how about the football side of things? What's going on in the world of football? Well, we do know on the quarterback front, North Carolina, Bill Belichick, they got their guy Damian and Gio Lopez, the South Alabama quarterback, who I'll be honest, I was quite impressed with. I thought he showed some flashes last year, a young guy taking over, and I think we all know the situation at South Alabama after Womack left, and a little bit of a transitional year. But I thought he showed a lot of really good things, and now he heads to North Carolina for a rumored $2 million.
Hey, that's very similar to what somebody was making at the University of Tennessee.
That's more than what I heard that same guy would be making at UCLA.
Interesting.
So that's just kind of an interesting nugget there.
Yeah. So money does kind of grow on trees a little bit. Depends on where that tree is rested at, where its roots are.
And who knows? Maybe with the Nico thing, again, a lot of this is just the buzz that's going around. None of this is officially confirmed, but okay, let's say that is the number. Now, maybe he's giving them a discount because he wants to go back home, but that could also be telling if that's the number that it got down to with schools of, we'll pay you around $2 million, like what you're making at Tennessee, essentially.
Right.
And we heard North Carolina was out pretty early, and we had understood that was when, you're not going to pay $4 million. Okay. Mm-hmm. But now it's like, so you
weren't even going to take.
We're willing to pay more money for Gio Lopez than Nico, or the same amount, and you chose Gio over Nico potentially.
Right. And I'm interested to see how Gio Lopez fits because again, it's a new era in Chapel Hill, 1000%. Bill Belichick coming in from the NFL, all the success he had as a New England Patriot. But again, it's the nature of college football and situations like this where a guy really starts to, put a name out there at South Alabama, even amongst all the change with Kane Womack, going to Alabama, but still having a successful season. And think about it, the games that we saw, especially here, I mean, he put up some good numbers. Mm-hmm. And now with the step up in competition and what the ACC kind of is, I'm interested to see what North Carolina looks like coming into the fall. Like, that's a team kind of, okay, if it all goes right, one, it does kind of, again, elevate the Bill Belichick legacy, but also it changes the nature of the ACC because then, I mean, we've seen them play for ACC titles within our lifetime, but now you can tell they're truly making it a point of, okay, we want to not just be a basketball school. We're actually putting up a front on the football side of things that, okay, we can have success here. We can, we've seen the players that have come through there, not talking about Mitch Trubisky or anything, but like the Julius Peppers of the world. Like we've seen them have some quality guys come through that program. So now that Gio Lopez, you looking at it as, hey, appreciate you, South Alabama, but $2 million is $2 million. And if you get a chance to get coached by, one of the greatest to ever do it, you jump at the opportunity.
Yeah, no, you could certainly do worse, I think, than making $2 million to go spin it for Bill Belichick. And hey, if it doesn't work out, guess what? You can go back in the portal next year. So congratulations there, Bill Belichick, Gio Lopez. Hope it works out for both of them. Always can root for a local guy here getting an opportunity on a little bit of a bigger stage. But what's going on with Tennessee and Nico? We were just talking about him, the situation at UCLA, still waiting for confirmation on that. But what's going on with Tennessee in terms of who they might bring in? And we might have finally gotten our answer yesterday. So again, this is not official yet, but the belief is that there was a quarterback that went in the portal yesterday afternoon that is going to get an opportunity to be the starter or come in and be expected to be the starter for Tennessee this fall. And that would be Mr. Steve Angeli, a household name, right? Everyone knows about Angeli.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Old Notre Dame.
Correct, yes. He is the Notre Dame quarterback. He was expected to fill that spot for Riley Leonard this year, and now he has entered the transfer portal yesterday. So he's had a little bit of action over the last couple of years. He's a junior, so he's played a little bit the last 2 seasons for Notre Dame. So for his career, 72% completion percentage, 770 passing yards, 10 touchdowns, 1 interception. Not bad.
Not bad at all.
Not bad. you can work with that. And this is the kind of guy that if you're Tennessee, you're looking for, right? He's unproven to a certain degree, but you've seen enough film to know, all right, this is a guy that can go out there and play power four football at a consistent level for a big program. And I know, he's no Riley Leonard. Riley Leonard was an exceptional player for Notre Dame this past year. But this is, if you're Josh Heupel, a guy you can develop, a guy that you would hope you could bring in and have for 2 years potentially to develop. And so there's a lot of optimism that I've seen from the Tennessee fan base, and immediately, the SEC Mikes of the world, those guys that are, they're Tennessee fans, and a lot of them had positive things to say. This is a good direction for Tennessee. This is, one of the better options that they had available to them. So we will see if it actually comes to fruition. But the belief is that Notre Dame quarterback Steve Angeli, who entered the transfer portal yesterday, has entered the portal and will end up at Tennessee to replace Nico Iamaleava. And how does that change the expectations for Tennessee next year? I think that's an interesting question, because I'd like to get your thoughts on that, Damian, because you are formerly the Tennessee fan, not anymore, but formerly a big Tennessee and Josh Heupel fan. And what are your expectations for Tennessee right now? Because you're coming off a college football playoff, berth. And I think going into last year, we knew they were a fringe playoff team, right? I think a lot of us viewed them as maybe the 5th or 6th best team in the SEC, but they ended up being better than that. They ended up making the playoff. And so now this year, I understand the circumstance, but this is a fan base. Now they've gotten a taste of it. Going 7-5 or 8-4 just because you lost Nico, it's not the worst thing in the world, but you're going to have some people that aren't super happy about that. So for you, Damian, what right now, with what we know about this Tennessee team, what should the expectations be for this season?
I don't think it's necessarily college football playoff rinse and repeat.
Okay.
No Dylan Sampson. He's going to the league.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be difficult. I think on the offensive side of things, because everything is essentially going to be new. Squirrel White hit the portal. Brew McCoy is gone. The pieces that you have are going to look a lot different from what it was last season. No James Pierce on the defensive side. I think the defense probably takes a step back a little bit too. When last season, even with the explosive offense, Tennessee for a good period of the time, their defense was their calling card. Like, that defense was smothering. It was probably the best defense that Josh Heupel had since he'd been there. And I think collectively you have to take a step back. Like, I say you have to take a step back, but it feels as though with everything that is returning, because it's so quote unquote unproven, that I don't know if you could truly say this team is going to be in the college football playoff again, because there are so many question marks. Now you're going to have a new starting quarterback, new running back. Not to say that the running back by committee couldn't get it done, but I think with all the pieces that you have that either hit the portal, that are graduated, that leave, and then going to the NFL, that you're going to have to call. A lot of guys are going to have to step up that we haven't seen before. And again, it could be a surprise to everybody that, okay, maybe they did take a step up, but it's going to have to, Josh Heupel's going to have to really coach him this year.
Yes, this is going to be one of those years where, I mean, I'll say that, like, if Tennessee wins 9 games this year, I'd be looking like, man, let's probably coach of the year, right? Just because of all the circumstances and everything that goes on with it. And who knows whether it's Angeli or, someone else pops up in the transfer portal, or it's one of the, the young freshmen that they have there on campus. Look, I have faith in Josh Heupel. Unlike Nico's family, I think he has a good offensive system. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, right? Again, I'm with you. I'm not expecting them to make it back to the college football playoff, but I think I would still expect Tennessee to be more competitive. And I think a large part of that too was last year. You go back and, I mean, everything we talked about Nico, right? You still made the college football playoff. So again, for whoever comes in a quarterback, Tennessee showed you last year they can make a playoff without having an elite quarterback, right? And I think that's a credit to what that staff has done defensively. We talked about that a lot the last 2 years. They have made major strides on that side of the ball, and as well as having that emphasis on the run game and how good that's been. And, you do have to replace Sampson, but I think Tennessee is going to be more competitive maybe than some people think. And depending on what happens with this Angeli kid potentially, who knows? Maybe he's the best kept secret in college football, and he's going to absolutely blow up on the scene, and we're going to talk about him as, a top 5 quarterback in the SEC right now. So who knows? But that's the latest on what's going on in Tennessee. Looks like they have their sights set on a quarterback out of the portal, and we will wait and see how that plays out for Coach Heupel and the Tennessee Volunteers. But do want to get some of your thoughts. We are now, 3 or 4 days into the portal. What are your thoughts? Are you happy with what your team's done with Auburn? Again, not a whole lot of traction on the football front, but where are you looking? Is there anybody in the portal that you're like, man, I really hope Auburn or Alabama goes after that guy? Are you happy if you're an Alabama fan? You haven't really had anybody go in the portal yet, so looks like your roster's sticking together, but are there, some pieces out there that you think, hey, man, we need some depth at this position? So 205-834-9450. What are your thoughts early on in the transfer portal? Are you happy with what Auburn, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, Tennessee, whoever your team is, what they've done so far and what their outlook is here over the next week? Because again, the portal will close again next Friday. So going to be another busy weekend, a busy week while a lot of these players get sorted out. So we want to hear from you, 205-834-9450. We see you on the phone line as well. We will hear from you when we return here on the Friday edition of Morning JOX. 6:38. Welcome back in here. Morning JOX, JOX 94.5. Conrad Van Order, Damian Mitchell here with you for the next 20 minutes or so before we hand you off to McElroy and Kublik in the morning from 7 to 10. Then I will be back for three-man front 10 to 2 alongside Pat and Molly. Then we will hand you off to the Paul Feinbaum show from 2 to 6 to end your Friday on the right note. Do want to remind you tomorrow, Birmingham Stallions giddy up, going for their third win in a row as they will take their talents on the road to Houston, Texas, where they will take on the Houston Roughnecks. How do we feel about them, Damian?
Well, Houston stinks. They just got their first win of the week. But I feel as though the Stallions, the injury bug is starting to hit a little bit. Missing some key pieces. Of course, we know quarterback Alex Magoo and some other guys as well. Matt Corral early on was a little shaky last week, but he ended up throwing the game-winning touchdown. So I think that, overcoming that adversity last week kind of put us in a good position, but I expect us to go out and handle our business against Houston. I do think we're better than them at just about every spot. Houston's still trying to figure some things out, but I do expect us to play well. And I'm expecting the Stallions win. I really am. I'm confident in this group. Seeing them, with my own two eyes. Defensively, there's still some things we need to iron out. But I think offensively, once we start to get the ball rolling and Matt just kind of just plays Matt Corral ball, I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, it's all about for the Stallions right now. And it's really been the whole league, the league as a whole. We talked to Skip Holtz about this on Wednesday on Three Man Front, but offense has just been down in the UFL this year. And I think for the Stallions, you're just trying to find that consistency, right? Because you haven't had it yet. Let's be honest. You haven't had it, but you still find yourself at 2-1. Opportunity to get your third win in a row. So hopefully things start to iron themselves out offensively for the Stallions, and they will giddy up on their way to their third straight victory tomorrow. That game's going to kick off at 6 o'clock on Fox. And tonight, here, you can watch the game on Apple TV Plus, or you can just tune in to JOX 94.5 and hear it yourself. The Atlanta Braves back in action tonight. They start a homestand where they're going to host the Minnesota Twins. A big opportunity here for Atlanta to get back to some winning ways. Again, had a really rough stretch on the road, as we know, but they are 3-2 at home this season. So hopefully they can get back home, take care of business against a Twins team that's not particularly good, and find themselves on the up and up, because at this point, that's certainly what you're hoping for as a Braves fan, and they just need to be able to pile some wins together now, because every time you have a big win, you're like, all right, this is the opportunity, go win 3 or 4 in a row, and they haven't been able to do that. So maybe this will be the weekend that the Braves can string together some big wins. Also, quickly coming up this weekend, I know everyone here is a big fan of the NBA, so you have the NBA playoffs getting started officially tomorrow, but tonight you have a couple play-in games, Miami and Atlanta there in the East, and you have Dallas and Memphis in the West looking to secure those final spots in the playoffs, but you are going to have a full slate of the first round of the NBA playoffs on Saturday and Sunday, if that is your thing. So plenty to get to this weekend if you are looking for some sports action to get into. But we do have you on the phone line as well as the text line. So let's go to our buddy Melvin, who wants to talk about Auburn this morning. How we doing, Melvin?
How y'all guys doing this morning?
Doing well, man. Doing well. What's on your mind?
Good. You were saying earlier, fan wise, are we, pretty, satisfied with what's going on in the portal with, all, basketball and football, and I'm pretty, I'm pretty satisfied with, especially what Pearl is doing, as far as the portal, and me personally, kind of selfishly, with the pieces that we already have that we just got in, I would definitely love to see Tahar Pettiford come back and run the show.
Oh, yeah.
But, I don't know where he's projected. I know he's testing the NBA waters right now. Y'all have any idea where he's projected to go in the draft or
for Pettiford?
Yeah.
Yeah, everything I've seen is like middle second round, maybe early second round.
Do you think he's going to just see what he needs to work on, or what kind of feedback he'll get, from from scouts and so forth? Or
Yeah,
what do you think the chances we might get him back? Go ahead, I'm listening.
yeah, no, I mean, my gut, if I'm being completely honest with you, my gut would maybe be like 60% NBA, 40% back to Auburn because he did, and that was the difference we talked about with LeBaron Philon from Alabama when he said he was going to test the waters. Is he did not choose to keep his college eligibility, right? So he said, I'm gone, I'm going, I'm going to be a second round pick probably, and I'm fine with that. And so maybe that's where Pettiford feels as well, because I think we all agree Pettiford's a guy, right? Is a second round pick. I think it's more because he's just a young guy that didn't start this year for Auburn, but that's a guy I could definitely see being a starter in the NBA in the future, how he projects out. So I could see him potentially be, I could potentially see him going into the NBA and having the understanding that, okay, maybe I'm going to be a second round pick, but I'm going to have a long career in the NBA. So I might as well just get that underway. That's just my gut.
Yeah, I mean that's like feasible what you just said, but
I hope he comes back though, because
as
I'm
you
with
know,
you. Like I think if Pettiford comes back, he will. I would have him as a first team All SEC preseason. Like I think he's that good.
he could run the show. I mean, he
Oh
could
yeah.
really, with the pieces that we got coming back. But football wise, I just hope we can just hold on to what we have. Hopefully we don't have no surprises or anything, but we could just hold on. I hate that Braden Joyner I don't know if he
Yeah.
went to the portal or not, but I know he's at least thinking about it. And he's one of our better linemen. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty satisfied. I hope we can just hold on to some guys in football. But hey, guys, I enjoy the show, man, and y'all have a good Friday. Okay. Yep.
You too,
You as well,
Melvin.
brother.
Appreciate you chiming in as often as you do, Melvin, and you can do the same either on the phone line or the text line 205-834-9450. So some more of you chiming in about the Stallions, the transfer portal as well. So we'll continue to hear from you. Get your reaction as we wrap up the Friday edition of Morning Jocks here on Jocks 94.5.
6:49 here on Morning JOX, JOX 94.5. Damian Mitchell alongside Conrad Van Order here with you for a few more moments as we get you set for McElroy and Kublik in the morning. But let me tell you about my friends at Blue Chew. It's an online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, Levitra in chewable form and at a fraction of the cost. So what are you waiting for? You got to give it a try. Blue Chew tablets are performance enhancing for the bedroom. It can help men gain extra confidence when it's time to perform. It's an online prescription service, so you don't have to worry about going to the doctor, no awkward conversation, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy because it ships right to your door. Speaking of shipping to your door, how about you get your first month free? Go to BlueChew.com, use the promo code JOX at checkout, and just pay $5 for shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code JOX to receive your first month free. And your boy DM6 tells you every single time, just chew it and do it.
205-834-9450, getting your thoughts here on the courtesy GMC text line. And a lot of you chiming in on the transfer portal as well as the Stallions game tomorrow against the Houston Roughnecks. So someone here, they chime in, they say, I'm an Auburn fan, and if Chad Baker-Mazara truly has no NBA future and this is his last year to make some money in college, I have no problem with it. Good for him. Go get the bag. Okay.
Respect.
Understandable. Let's see. Joseph texted in. Let's see. First off, he says, does it not concern you that Steve Angeli got beat out by CJ Carr at Notre Dame? And yes, I understand the standpoint of, okay, is the backup at Notre Dame really going to be the guy that solves the problems for Tennessee? But compared to what you have on your roster already, this is a guy that has actually played meaningful time in college football. Not a lot of it, but a little bit. And I think it's, if Heupel views him as a guy that he can develop and turn into the kind of quarterback that he likes. And I mean, again, you're looking to replace a quarterback, and I know what Nico did, and I know from a game planning standpoint, right? He probably struck more fear into opposing defensive coordinators than the reality of how he performed on the field. And so I understand that part of it. But I mean, if we're talking statistically here, you're trying to replace 19 touchdown passes last year. And I think that I have a feeling that Josh Heupel can do that. I mean, statistically, Nico last year, in terms of his passing numbers, had the worst passing numbers a quarterback has ever had under Josh Heupel. So.
But it's the offense's fault. It's the system's fault.
Again, we're not replacing a guy that threw for 40 touchdowns last year. So just throwing that out there. Joseph also adds for Georgia, I hope that they land Bo Atkinson from North Carolina. We talked about him yesterday as one of the top players in the portal. He had, I believe, 7.5 sacks last year for North Carolina, and he is going to visit Georgia. So yeah, that would be a big pickup there for Kirby. No doubt about it. Let's see. Fanboy chimes in. He says, football portal, don't really know anybody. Seems like Kalen and the staff keeping everyone together, which is amazing. Basketball, on the other hand, players are just too expensive now. The basketball numbers are crazy. Yeah, no denying that. They're pretty crazy. Alan says, is Damian a member of the Horsemen yet?
Nah. I'm just a shirtless section guy.
Okay. Let's see. Mad Dog chimes in. He says, giddy up. Please ask everyone to come to Back 40 for our watch party tomorrow. Great time. Come party with the Horsemen. So there you go. Back 40 tomorrow, 6 p.m. If you want to go hang out, watch the Stallions with the Horsemen. Let's see. What is this? Somebody, let's see. Paul chimes in. He says, good morning, fellas. 52 today and rocking my 9th and final marathon in 2 weeks. Happy birthday, Paul. That's incredibly impressive. He asked how he can get a JOX t-shirt. I'll tell you this, we are working on that right now because we have had a number of people ask us about that. We are working on that. We are trying to get that and make those available for you. He also adds in a picture where he put in a futures Heisman bet on Cam Coleman to win the Heisman this year.
Cam Coleman.
Okay. Yep, at plus 20,000.
Hey, if you win, you win big.
It was only a $5 ticket.
There we go.
I like it, Paul. I like it. Let's see. What is John Matt going off about today?
He's offended. I said Houston stinks. He thought I was talking about the whole city. I was just talking about the Roughnecks.
Okay. Let's see. Yeah, John Mack. Which number 1 team got beat? Yes, Texas A&M beat Arkansas. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
That was great. We're really, really proud of you for that. Yeah, haha, Houston stinks. You enjoy the tires on your car, enjoy the gas in your car, enjoy the gas that comes out of your stove and warms your water. without H-Town, Alabama would still be in the Stone Age.
Literally, we were just talking about the Roughnecks.
Yeah,
man.
I don't.
Yeah, nobody was talking about the city, but whatever floats your boat, bro.
To each their own, John Mack. Have a good weekend, my friend. Let's go to the phone lines here. We will wrap it up with our buddy Don Don. I'm sure he has some thoughts on Chad Baker Mazzara leaving and entering the transfer portal. How are we doing, Don Don?
Hey guys, happy Friday to you. And real quickly, both of you guys do need to be a member of the Horsemen. And like you said in the text, we're going to be at Back 40 tomorrow night. Games at 6 o'clock. We'd love to have everybody out to join us. But Conrad, buddy, I read a lot about the situation last night, and we were going to get a visit from a kid from St. John's named Lewis, the guard. And
yeah, R.J. Lewis, yeah.
Yes, we're getting a visit from him, and we're in the running for P.J. Haggerty, as you said. So that CBM money is going to be used for something else. But if you get a chance, there's a really good article about college basketball, NIL, and Auburn is one team that has a $10 million budget. There's like 20 teams that have a $10 million.
Thank you, Don Don. You hear it there. The mayor himself, P.J. Haggerty to Auburn. It's happening. Macaron Q.